Thank you. Thank you to you. Let me just say, in the first place, that special thanks are due to the organizers for this possibility that was given to us as representatives of the city of Moscow. And I'd like to express the role of the association Conoscere Eurasia, represented by Antonio Fallico. And I'd like to say that a series of forums like this one have been promoted by the two different counterparts and have taken place. And I believe that this could be an answer that we give to the difficult situation that was occurring in the world. We have some analysis groups, we have think tanks that are trying to solve these problems. You probably know that. You've probably heard that in Sochi yesterday the forum of the Valda International Club was concluded, and the President Putin took part into that forum. So every partner is trying to find a way out from this blind alley, and I believe that all of us have been ending up in such a blind alley. So let me call your attention on what was said by the ambassador of Russia yesterday. He warned us against actions that may force us to go past the return point. Let me say that those external measures, non-economic measures that blocked many of the channels, communication channels amongst the different and between the different states, allow for new possibilities at the level of collaboration at local level. So additional possibilities that could be exploited to develop the cooperation between the European structures and Russia. Let me say that this Verona Forum sees the representation of many Russian regions. And I hope that the actions on the European side are going to be adequate. Let me just say a few words on the city of Moscow. The city of Moscow probably stands as the economic institution which is the largest in Russia. Moscow represents 8% of the Russian population and 26% of the Russian economy. Most of all, Moscow is a region which is completely self-financed and which is also funding other regions. But we also have some problems as well, such as inefficiency of the territory, problem of transportation means, and this largest city in Europe has its biggest sector's problems, and this is the sector of transportation. The density of the road infrastructure is by 2.5% times lesser than the rest of Europe, than what exists in the rest of Europe. Let's consider that on a daily basis we have some 3.5 up to 5 million cars. You can imagine the proportion of the difficulties we are to confront with, and certainly the city of Moscow could not ignore any such situations. And in the past 5 years this has turned into a problem of priority, and thanks to the collaboration with the federal government we could extend the territory of this city. And in the recent years, we know that this extension increased by 2.5%, thus adding other territories which in past years were part instead of the Moscow region. And the result is the one of an urban conglomerate which is now being developed with the region of Moscow and with other neighboring areas. For some years, I'd say a couple of decades, this project, which will have to be developed and which will take more than a decade is something which is of great importance, worldwide importance, I dare say. To us, this stands as a possibility to develop large infrastructural projects in the field of roadways, in the field of transportation infrastructures. And if we talk of the underground network, well, this is a network which is highly expensive, one of the most expensive ones. We will have to build 120 kilometers of new lines by the year 2020. We are now building some 5 highways with pay toll, and this is of great interest, special interest to us. We are also building a new railway hub, and the transportation on railroad is now having greater importance. We need the new technological solutions. We are open to all of the proposals on the side of the entrepreneurial community. Another special theme has got to do with the possibility of using the potential of the Moscova River so as to allow for a transportation channel. We would like to set up some collaborations in that field. And what was said with respect to the airport network in Moscow makes me launch an invitation to my Italian counterpart. I'd like to invite him to come to Moscow and come and see and maybe work with us. Ours is a successful city, a rich one too. The unemployment rate is less than 1%, which means that the Moscow economy is rather healthy. I am about to conclude. And I'd like to say that our partners should be more active. We want to give up the colonial model of the supply of end products. We would rather want to allow for some cooperation in the productive sector as well. And I want to say that if the European partners won't do it, then it's going to be other partners from other countries, because more and more the Russian agencies and companies are looking to China and to Asian countries. Maybe right now we've come to the bottom of the barrel of the crisis, but this is a situation which allows new possibilities to everyone. So I would like to invite all of those who truly want to develop new relations to take a look at Russia and to the city of Moscow in particular. So I really invite you to Russia.